Q&A. This is your opportunity to ask medical questions. As a reminder, this is not medical advice. It's for information purposes only and a little bit of entertainment mixed in. So please join along. Hello, you guys. Hello, Dom's mom and Lucy. Nice to see you already this morning. Good. Okay. So good morning, Olivia. It's nice to see you here as well. As usual, we pick a topic, or I pick a topic, and I kind of go with it for a bit. And then I'm hoping that you guys will join in, ask questions, and keep this lively. We are live on Instagram and YouTube right now. Yesterday, we discussed a lot about insulin resistance. What are the signs and symptoms? How can we tell without getting lab results? If we do get lab results, what do we look for? And, how can we treat it? Was a lot of questions that were presented to me during that live session yesterday that I want to touch on, because I think we're missing some of the, just missing some things that we need to gain a better understanding, a better grasp on what is actually going on. Good morning, Chat with Lucy. We appreciate you being here. So to get started, I want to simply teach you about hemoglobin A1c. And I know many of you will say, you know what, I already know what hemoglobin A1c is. It's my diabetic number and I'm good with it. Well, I want to teach you a little bit more than just that. And so by telling you about the hemoglobin A1c, you first have to know what that actually is measuring. It is measuring glycation. Glycation is any time a sugar binds to a protein. And we have proteins all over our body. We have proteins in our skin, like the elastin and collagen. We have proteins in our eyeballs. We have proteins in our heart and protein in our kidneys and liver. We have protein everywhere. We have protein in our red blood cells. That is where we're going to shoot into measuring hemoglobin A1c. So anytime a sugar binds to a protein, this is called glycation. Another name for it is caramelization, or the Browning effect, or the Maillard reaction. These are all names that we give to this sugar binding to a protein. So you can see that if we have proteins all over and there's enough sugar in our body, we're going to get a lot of glycation. Now, is this glycation good? Well, you're going to have some glycation going on all the time because our body makes sugar. But the end product, this sugar plus this protein, the end product, it equals advanced glycation end products. So A plus B equals C. Sugar plus protein equals an AGE. All right? It's called an advanced glycation end product. That AGE, it ages us. So if you have sugar binding to proteins in our skin, your collagen and elastin, you're going to get aging results of wrinkles. In your eyes, you might get cataracts or macular degeneration. In your kidneys, we get kidney disease. In your heart, we get heart disease. These are the things that I want to get you to understand about glycation. Now, the hemoglobin A1c is glycation of hemoglobin. So hemoglobin is the protein. The hemoglobin is carried on the red blood cell. All right, within the red blood cell. So the red blood cell carries iron and hemoglobin and oxygen, and it tries to get these things delivered to all of the cells. And red blood cells deliver nutrients. Now, if the red blood cell is being highly glycated, it is not going to work very well. That red blood cell can be abnormal. He's not going to deliver oxygen as well to the brain, for instance, or to the heart or to the lungs. He's going to be taken up, made basically inactive just because of glycation. And so we give the person, the client, the patient, the answer. Okay, you have glycation going on. You have a hemoglobin A1c of 6.0. You have diabetes. Many doctors will just call that insulin resistance, and they'll wait until you are further along and diagnose you with diabetes. Like, for instance, they'll wait till you're 7.0 and they'll say, oh, you're fine. They'll especially tell older people that. Well, we don't want them to get too low. Well, why not? You don't want your elderly people to be normal? You want them to be living on the diabetes side all the time? See, we've been feared into that if we lower our blood sugar to normal, that we're somehow just going to fall off the face of the earth. That is not true. So yes, 6.0 is diabetes. 5.7, 5.8, and 5.9 is what we have labeled as prediabetes. But you know what? Prediabetes is diabetes. So if you're already having trouble with glycation, you have underlying diabetes. Make that make sense to you. But let me give you some inconsistencies with hemoglobin A1c. What if your red blood cells live longer than average and there's sugar involved? You see, that A1c could be falsely elevated because your red blood cells are living longer than usual. And so they're going to be exposed to sugar longer than usual. That A1c, hemoglobin A1c, could be elevated, falsely elevated. So we have to be very careful about this, okay? Now, what if the red blood cell dies off earlier than expected? So they're not going to live the normal 100 to 120 days. They're going to maybe die off at 90 days. This is going to cause a falsely low A1c. And I see this frequently in insulin-resistant fatty liver patients. Their A1c will be 4.9, and they will get the feeling, the impression that they're okay and don't have diabetes, when in fact they do. You see, their red blood cells are dying off sooner. And erythropoiesis, the formation of red blood cells by the bone marrow, is sluggish, all because the person is metabolically challenged. They have metabolic disease. One other inconsistent with a hemoglobin A1c that I want to make you very aware of: fructose, found in fruit, found in processed foods over the counter. Fructose is not measured by the hemoglobin A1c. Okay? The hemoglobin A1c only measures glycated glucose. It does not measure glycated fructose. You cannot measure glycated fructose. There is not a real good test to measure that particular level. You cannot get a glycated fructose. So if you get a hemoglobin A1c measuring glycated glucose and it's 5.6, and you know that you are consuming a lot of fructose, it's not going to be picked up by the hemoglobin A1c. Just so you're aware, fructose glycates about 10 times faster than glucose. So you're getting a lot of problems with fructose and glycation, more so than glucose. Let me finish my thought on this, Nancy, before I answer your question, because there's a very good, I think, a very good answer to your question. If fructose is glycating much, much faster and more prevalent than glucose, we are aging even more in advance. And the thing with fructose, see, glucose can be taken up by all the cells, okay? It goes through a different pathway than fructose. And all of the cells in our body can mostly use glucose. But with fructose goes directly to the liver. Now, when it gets to the liver, so say you have some fruit and it goes to the liver, some of that fructose is converted to glucose, and then it goes through the glucose pathway. The part of the fructose that's remaining, that goes to laying down fat in the liver. You're getting lipogenesis, fat buildup, the genesis of fat. That is what's causing fatty liver disease for the most part. It's no longer alcohol, although that is a huge contributing factor. But most of us are consuming fructose over alcohol. And that's where we are running into a lot of problems with fatty liver. We're also seeing fatty liver in our kids. Now, one thing I do want to alert you to is, if you were my patient or you're my client, I would want you, if you're eating a lot of fructose, or I suspect you're eating a lot of fructose because you've been told it's good for you and it's natural. It is not. It's made in a lab. The seeds were made in a lab by a man to make them succulent and very delicious so that you will keep coming back for more. It's because of the sweetness. Now, if I look at my patient and I see that they got a very large abdomen, their A1c is registering around 5. I'm going to get a uric acid level. A uric acid level will mimic a fructose level, almost a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you get a uric acid level, you're going to know what your fructose level is. If you have an elevated uric acid level, that increases our risk of inflammation. What possibly could lower uric acid levels besides eliminating fructose by eliminating fruit and high fructose corn syrup? Ketosis. Ketones can wipe out the inflammation caused by uric acid. It's not that it does anything to uric acid, it's working on the inflammation. So ketosis is anti-inflammatory. Uric acid is inflammatory. All right. What if your red blood cells are short-lived, as in hereditary spherocytosis, a condition of oddly shaped red blood cells? Also, so what if your red blood cells are short-lived, so they're dying? So what is your question? What if your red blood? Well, they're dying, and your life cycle of your red blood cells is shorter, right? Now, spherocytes and sickle cells, all of these increase our risk for inflammation and coronary artery disease. So is that, are you, even though you may not have insulin resistance, you are still at risk of having a heart attack, inflammation and blood clotting. Also, do we really become more insulin resistant as we age? Well, if you continue to eat a high carb diet, yes. If you do not lift weights as you age, you have less muscle mass, you got sarcopenia. Muscle is very hungry for sugar. So if you don't have muscle mass or it's going down, you're not using your sugar, it builds up, you become insulin resistant. So do most people become insulin resistant as they age? Yes. But is that normal? No, we should not get insulin resistant as we age. Okay? All right. That was a good question. I appreciate that. Good morning, Dr. Christy and Ed. So, okay. Lucy says, not stopping meat. My mom had high levels of uric acid a doctor in Brazil told her to stop eating meat. Her uric acid level, okay, we get high uric acid levels for either our body's making it or we can't get rid of it. So you have to look at your kidney function, Lucy. Look at your mom's kidney function. 2, ask her how much fruit she's eating, how much fructose, how much high fructose corn syrup is she eating. You got to get a fructose level. You got, her uric acid, if elevated, I'm guessing her fructose level's elevated. She's got fatty liver, but you have to check kidney function. To have your mother stop eating meat is actually defeating the purpose. I would never encourage that. But Lucy, you know more now than you did a year ago. And, her doctors are behind the scenes. And she is at risk of a heart attack because of her uric acid, because of the inflammation. So it's important that your mom, makes some lifestyle changes. And that, that's something that you need to work on with her. Those are things that I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I just give you the information. If you know that your kidneys are going bad, your heart's going bad, you're getting diabetic, all the arteries in your legs and your heart and everywhere there's a blood vessel is going bad, and you want to continue eating sugar, then by all means, as long as you have enough information to make a good decision. Yes, doctor, I know of all the ramifications of high blood sugars and seed oils for that matter. I want to continue. I want to enjoy the remaining years of my life eating crapola food and living a life of what you consider luxury, and you're continuously getting sick. If you want to do that, that's awesome. Lucy says she still eats a lot of fruits. Her uric acid is down now. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. That's exactly right. It's difficult, especially when it's family members. I mean, trust me, I know it's difficult, but we got to do the best we can. Now, with that being said, we talk about fructose. I talked yesterday about insulin resistance and how we can tell the signs and symptoms of insulin resistance. By the way, I want to just some housekeeping. I am doing this live fundraiser. I'm going to start doing that on my lives. You don't have to give to any of the organizations that I cherish. That is not what this is for, but it's there that if there is somebody who wants to give today, it's Rescue, Rehab, and Rehome. It is a local rescue near me, near Des Moines, in the Des Moines metro. And it is where I got my tallow, Norman tallow. So it means a lot to me. The rescues that I choose, or the fundraisers that I choose, do mean a lot to me. And they're organizations that I support myself. If I didn't support it, I would have never gotten tallow. And he means a lot to me. And I think I mean a lot to him. So that's what that live fundraiser is. It is not fraud or anything like that, or something, In addition, this is an opportunity to tell you a little bit about what I do. I have closed my physical practice, and I am only doing online consultations with clients that want to learn more about their medical conditions, about their medications, about diet, and about reading their labs. I think I provide a great benefit to you. I am like a doc in your back pocket. I do not take the place of your PCP. I am not your PCP, but I am like a doctor coach that can help you navigate your healthcare. Because many of you have told me that the care that you are receiving from your physician is not adequate. And that is too bad, but it's nothing that I haven't heard before. Modern doctors are rushing through things. They're not making complete diagnoses. They're not checking you for things. They're letting diabetes run rampant in their population by not treating them, by not telling you guys that diabetes is a diagnosis of high carbohydrates or toxicity of carbohydrates. It is toxicity of sugar. You get sugar from carbohydrates. If we were to tell all of our patients to stop eating carbohydrates, we would probably not have as much diabetes. Good morning, Retail My Ride. I'm glad to see you here. If you are in the know, you're well versed on these things, and you want to know, gosh, does my family member or my friend or my coworker have insulin resistance or diabetes and I don't know it? You could simply look at them and probably know. If they have skin tags around their neck, they have insulin resistance. If they have acanthosis nigricans, a brown kind of a crepey skin that's rough looking on their neck, they likely have insulin resistance. If they have a big belly and rather thin or even muscular legs, like out of the ordinary muscles, like the calves look like they got a huge gastrocnemius, and they have a large waist, so this what another patient referred to it as, or client or listener, they referred to it as a SpongeBob type look. That is insulin resistance or diabetes. These people are at risk for cardiovascular disease. So if you're wondering, hey, does my family member, and you start seeing a bunch of skin tags, dark, crepey skin on their neck, you see that they got this big belly, they can't see over it, they rest their hands on their belly, they use as a cup holder. That is insulin resistance, if not already full-blown diabetes. We are not looking for it on a regular basis as a physician. One of my listeners yesterday or last night asked me, why is it that she has to bring in her lab list for her PA or her doctor to check labs? Why don't they just know? I can't speculate. Maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I didn't know as much as I know now. So it's not that they just never been taught. They have never got out of their own paper sack to look things up. They have their head under a rock, as I did. I was bamboozled. I was just learning and regurgitating what I had been told in medical school and residency and getting out in practice and doing CME, which is continuing medical education. We all have to do CME. The boards are also centered around what we are taught in those agencies, the schooling, medical school, the residency, also paid for by the powers above, the hospitals, all of that, the CME, that's bought and paid for by pharma. And pharma owns food, the food industry as well. So you can see where our training, and we actually think that we're smarter than we are because we've only been taught one thing and we regurgitate it. Until you get your head out of your paper sack or out from under a rock, do you finally understand that you have maybe a lack of knowledge. Now, I don't know it all. I'm still learning. And what I'm learning, I'm trying to bring to your attention. If it's wrong, we're going to be wrong together and we're going to go look it up. And then we're going to help each other. This is not me telling you what to do. I'm coaching and you're giving me feedback. We have to do this together. We have to teach each other. I'm not opposed to you guys saying, hey, doctor, I just noticed that you just said something and I just don't think it's true. Or I looked this up and why does it say this and you said that? Let's talk about it. No, I don't like to be wrong. But I'm humble enough to find out if I am wrong, I'm going to say, man, thank you so much. Because I don't want to keep on spewing wrong information. How can we test for insulin resistance? We talked about it yesterday. We can get some labs. But before that, I want to teach you what metabolism is. Metabolism is a balance of all of the chemical processes going on. Christine, if I do not get to your cancer question, Can you repeat it because all of the questions or comments are spinning by really, really fast. I want you to know that I saw it, but I might not get to it yet. All right, so metabolism is a balance of all chemical reactions in our body. It is a balance of anabolic, building up, and catabolic, breaking down. So the anabolic plus or minus catabolic is what your metabolism is. We like to say metabolism is our ability to lose weight. We use the word incorrectly. If we use it correctly, we will know that we want to have balance between things building up and things breaking down. We cannot all be building up, because if we're always building up, we're going to be at risk of cancer. So to answer Christine's question, is cancer always genetic? No, it is not. Cancer, as I spoke to you yesterday, in my opinion, my belief is that cancer, the tumor, is a walling off of toxins to protect us. It is a defense mechanism, and we should be happy that we actually have a tumor, or else we would be dead by now. Because our body cannot keep up with all of the toxins that are in our body. Why do kids have it? I knew that was going to be your question. Then why do kids get it? Ask yourself what that mother consumed prior to getting pregnant. How was her lifestyle? What was she like? What did she put in her body? Did she exercise? Did she sleep well? Did she get out in the sun? Did she look at computers all day long under LED lights? Did she smoke and drink? Did she do pot? Did she do other drugs? Well, she quit a year ago, but she destroyed her body. Okay? Then, what did the mother do when the baby is in utero? What did she eat? A bunch of seed oils? Bunch of ice cream? Did she eat inflammatory foods? Did she get out in nature? Did she continue to drink fluoridated and brominated and chlorinated water? Did she take Tylenol? Did she take other things over the counter? Then, did the baby, when it was delivered, get delivered via C-section or vaginally? Because if it was born vaginally, it got all of mom's vaginal secretions all over the baby, and that helped develop the baby's immune system, the biome. So mother's, what you consider dirtiness, slime, as the baby's being born, is actually the baby's immune system. So if the baby was not born vaginally, that's a disadvantage. And if it was born via C-section, the baby never received mom's immunity. Okay? It did not get the secretions wiped all over it, because what doctor is going to reach in with a gloved hand, wipe the secretions off the vaginal area, or the nurse, and then wipe it all over the baby's body and the mouth and the eyeballs, putting it in the mucosa of the eyes, putting it in the mucosa of the mouth, and then rubbing the baby down. So you can see that a mother who did not take care of herself, didn't take care of herself prior to getting pregnant, during pregnancy, C-section, and then worst case scenario, they bottle fed that baby. So there was no natural immunity from being breastfed. So now the formula filled with fake synthetic vitamins and minerals and sugar and crap seed oils, that baby is at high risk of getting cancer. On top of that, you give it about 50 injections in the first year of life, and you wonder, that was exaggeration. I just want you to be aware, okay? Why is that baby getting all of these things? God made us with an immune system. Had we done everything correctly, And you say, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't deliver it vaginally. Then wipe the secretions all over the body. You could have done that. You could have breastfed. Oh no, the baby wouldn't latch on. There's other alternatives than formula from a bottle. You could have made your own formula with raw milk. Weston Price has a formula recipe on their website. You could have done that. But see, we chose and we were brainwashed with buffoonery, bamboozled with buffoonery, that's the only option is Enfamil or whatever the formula of choice is right now. Plus all of the injections, plus LED lights in your home, putting the baby in front of a computer or an iPad and having them punch little things and you didn't want to take the time and take the baby out in nature, all of these things. And you know what they'll tell you? It's genetic. You poor thing. Yeah, it's genetic. Children learn what they live. My thoughts on it. So hopefully that answered Christine's. Well, Christine, genetics, I mean, really, it's epigenetics. How is mom living? And then coupled with the environment, absolutely, that's terrain. So, you know, I'm not a big believer that genetics is my doom. My terrain can be my doom. One cup, that is a good point that I just want to, yes, I want to just expand upon this. And I want you to think about this. A cancer grows in an environment that is acidic. It also grows in an environment that does not have oxygen. So if we give a body in an environment that is not conducive for cancer or less conducive for cancer, i.e. more oxygen and more alkalinity, the cancer has less chance of growing, less chance of spreading, but it's also an opportunity to not poke a sleeping bear. I know that it is very scary to hear the word cancer, and it's hard to get in your head that that is actually a defense mechanism and you should be thanking your body for walling it off and buying you time. What we do though is we run to the doctor and they do a diagnostic test, usually a biopsy, or we do surgery. We poke a sleeping bear and we spread cancer. We also feed cancer. We feed it sugar. We feed it seed oils. We give it the perfect environment that promote in an acidic, low oxygen environment. And we wonder why we have increasing amounts of cancer. Yeah. Plus all the things that you put in your body, including the things. Okay. Christine, I agree. There are people who are chain smokers, live to be old. They never get lung cancer. It's rare. I understand. You wonder, how is it? But it is possible that they do have tumors all over their body. And their defense mechanism to wall it off is perfectly matched with their ability to fight it. I know it sounds crazy, but maybe that's their only one thing that they do is just chain smoke. They sleep well, they get outside, they don't drink alcohol, they pray, and all they do is smoke. And that is, hey, they don't get cancer, or they got it and it doesn't kill them. There's people that say everybody's got cancer. Every cell has got the potential to, build toxins and have a problem. This is something that's not highly understood, but there are people treating cancers with fasting with dietary changes and no chemo, no radiation, no surgery, and these people are living. Lucy asks, can you summarize metabolism? Metabolism, again, the definition of metabolism is a balance of building up and breaking down. That is all metabolism is. There are things that diminish metabolism, so you're going to be more catabolic than anabolic, and vice versa. There are things that you can do that promote anabolic, and are less catabolic. We want a balance. It seems that when we talk about our metabolic health, I like to talk about metabolic syndrome, which back in my day, early in my days, it was called Syndrome X. That was the name of it. What constitutes Syndrome X or metabolic syndrome are still the exact same things they were 25 years ago. We just renamed it to metabolic syndrome. Probably got a new ICD-10 code, and we can get more money reimbursement by the insurance companies if we diagnose that person. I don't know. It could also be called insulin resistant syndrome. The person with metabolic syndrome has some features like high blood sugar, high blood pressure, high triglycerides, high waist size, so a large waist, and low HDL. Those 5 things have been the same for the past 25 years. The name of the syndrome or the name of the chronic disease is changed, but the symptoms or the criteria to diagnose it has not. But what do you think is the main one of those 5 that doctors look at on a regular basis and basically ignore the others or don't know them? What is it that a doctor looks at mainly when thinking about somebody's metabolic mayhem? It's blood sugar. We as physicians have been taught a glucose-centric definition of metabolic syndrome. We only think about glucose. And if we're only thinking about glucose, guess what? We are missing early diabetes because glucose can remain in a normal level for years. And we've missed it. We didn't look for HDL. We didn't look at the triglycerides. We didn't measure their waist. We didn't check their blood pressure, or we did and we didn't diagnose them. Because if it's high and you give them the diagnosis of hypertension, then they likely have insulin resistance, because the number one cause of hypertension, high blood pressure, is insulin resistance. Insulin that's high leads to elevated blood pressure by the very fact that you get salt and water retention. And as the pressure remains high over time, it destroys the endothelial layer of your arteries. And so doctors will simply give you a medicine, a chemical that you throw into your body to block a biologic process, a defense mechanism. Your blood pressure went up as a defense mechanism to get you to go, knock, 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 knock. Your blood pressure's up because you have something else going on, but we never look as a doctor. And you didn't either, because you've been taught the exact same thing. Blood pressure that's high it'll cause a stroke if it's high, and it requires medications. So we never look at the other ailments of metabolic syndrome. Okay? If we're only glucose-centric, we're going to miss diabetes in years in advance. We could have had an opportunity to help the patient. But what would that do? That's going to decrease my business, and it's going to take way too much time, to be perfectly honest. It's going to take me way too much time to teach you about insulin resistance when I only have 10 minutes and I got to get you in and out. So why don't you go home and read, but here's your blood pressure medicine. But they didn't check the other things. They didn't know that high triglycerides was a sign of insulin resistance. They didn't know that the combination of high triglycerides and low HDL is going to put you at risk of a heart attack. They're only looking at LDL. So they're LDL centric and glucose centric. They're looking at one thing and they're not looking at the big picture. But you guys are listening to me and other doctors like me or other influencers on social media. They know the truth. They're trying to share all this information with you. You're going to go, you're going to find people online and they're going to say a lot of what I say. And then they're going to say a little bit of what I don't say. And you're going to wonder who is right. I don't know. But you need to keep learning. If I say something, check me on it. If they say something, check them on it. Don't just willy-nilly believe something with fluffy and flowery terms to get you to get sucked in. Go look it up. Punch in exactly what they said into AI and see if there's a discrepancy of what they said and what AI says. Not that AI is perfect. It can be wrong. I have found it wrong, and they've actually apologized to me because I keep nagging at them and saying, but are you sure? What about this? It's almost like having a conversation with somebody who thinks they're more intelligent than you, and they may be, and it might not even be an intelligence thing, but you're just using logic and they're not. They can't think like a human. They can think like a machine. Guess who programs the machine? Right. What could be the reason for high triglycerides on a person on a carnivore diet for a year? Now, what is your definition, Janet? You've asked me this before. Give me the diagnosis or the definition, of a carnivore diet. I don't know. I don't know what the definition is, so I need your help. So help me with the definition of a carnivore diet. Okay? Let's reverse. Let's reverse back to Lucy's question about metabolism. Okay? When we consume something, a macronutrient, we are either going to burn sugar as a fuel or fat as a fuel. This is simplistic terms. I know that there are other fuels, okay? How does a body know when we are going to burn sugar or when we are going to burn fat? The only time we can burn fat as a fuel is when insulin is low. If insulin is present in high enough concentration, we cannot burn fat because insulin builds up fat. Insulin builds up fat. It tells fat cells to grow bigger. Insulin tells a fat cell to grow bigger. You cannot burn fat at the same time it is growing bigger. Except in one instance, and I'm going to tell you. If insulin is high, you will be burning sugar. Sugar will be the source. Okay? High insulin, sugar burning, glucose burning. I want to say sugar so you guys get it. If insulin is low, you're going to fat burn. When a fat cell is getting so big, insulin is high, fat cells are getting so big because insulin is driving the energy the glucose into the fat cell, causing it to get bigger. At some point, it can't get any bigger, and it will start spilling out free fatty acids and cytokines and a lot of inflammatory markers. All of the inners, the grossities of a fat cell are going to start leaking out. And those free fatty acids are going to bind, make a triglyceride, which is 3 fatty acids and a glycerol, and that occurs where? Liver. So is the liver pumping out all of these triglycerides? You have to ask yourself, Janet, what is my insulin level? What is my cortisol level? Am I sleeping? Am I keeping my stress low? Am I doing anything else? You know, you could tell me you're on a carnivore diet and why are my triglycerides elevated? You might have a condition where you don't break down your triglycerides. That would be something. I've read about it. I've never seen it. And these triglycerides, when they're elevated, they're in the 5, 6, 700s in a carnivore. Lipopolysaccharide, look it up. It is an expensive test. I don't even know if you can do it. I've never checked it on somebody. Maybe you guys can check me. But can you check for LPS, lipopolysaccharide? Lipopoly LPS. I'm pretty sure that's it. Is it an enzyme? It's got to be an enzyme for breaking down something. I don't know. Maybe if Christy's still listening, she can help me. There is an enzyme that helps to break these things down. If you don't have that ability to break them down, they build up. If the HDL is elevated, your metabolic health is better. But that is a great question. And my thoughts are, if I'm carnivore, my cortisol is low, my trigs happen to be low, you could take a medication for your triglycerides. I'm not big on that. You might want to increase your omega-3s, not taking omega-3s, not taking a rancid fish oil capsule. I'm talking about getting the omega-3s. So that would be grass-fed meat. That would be pasture-raised organic eggs, wild-caught salmon, things like that with higher amounts of omega-3. Lucy says, thank you. I'm sending this to my friends. I think this explanation will help them understand. No doctor has said anything about metabolic syndrome or dysfunction because they might not know, Lucy. They may not know what metabolic syndrome is. And honestly, even if they knew what it was, once you start getting into rabbit holes that they've never experienced, they want to avoid it at all costs. In fact, they'll refer a patient before they'll try to figure it out themselves. It's called punting. We do it a lot. Hi, my name is Mark, and I live in West Des Moines. Nice to meet you, Mark. I appreciate that you're coming on. Good morning, Midwest Rabbi. She or he is listening from Fort Dodge, so right in my neck of the woods. Millie says, awesome information, thank you. Okay, well, that segues me into this. I am live right now on Instagram and YouTube, and you can find me on those platforms at IronLadyDoc, at IronLadyDoc. I am on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter or X, Threads, Instagram, at IronLadyDoc. The only one that is different is Facebook. I'm at Center Stage Primary Care. If you like the information I'm giving you, you find it interesting and helpful, please share it. Click the thumbs up, click the like buttons, comment. Just a simple comment with a heart button or a fire sign or whatever the emoji is helps get my stuff out there and available for people to learn. It's important to me that you guys know how to diagnose yourself and not rely on doctors who don't know how to make a diagnosis. They live in a world. I was there. That's why I know. I'm not putting doctors down because I'm putting myself down. But you see, I got out of the matrix. I first got out of the big organization. I got out. And I opened up my own practice. And for 13 years, I tried to survive that matrix. And it was difficult. Very difficult. Because they don't like to pay a private person who does not follow their guidelines. And so I thought, if I could continue this, and instead of just seeing 10 people a day in the office, I can see 3,000 a day. If one of my videos or a reel is seen, it could be seen by 3,000 people I could be helping. Like, hey, how do I know if I get insulin resistance? Do you have skin tags? Do you have acantho? Do you have a rough brown patches on your, do you have a big fat belly? Do you have skinny muscular legs? These are the signs that you didn't even know anything was going on. You just thought, doctor doesn't want to offend me by telling me I'm fat. Well, they don't even want to offend you by telling you have diabetes, which you do. They're just not going to make the diagnosis until you really have it. Until your beta cells in your pancreas don't want to produce insulin anymore. You're so insulin resistant that your pancreas says, I've had enough. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired, and burns out. Can we bring it back? I hope so. I've seen some come back. I switched insurance companies and they have you as my new primary care provider. Well, they probably don't. That is way behind. I do not see patients in the office. You're going to be, insurance companies do not change their books until once a year. So what could be on my name might be on your list, but I'm not practicing in a clinical office any longer. And it's been awesome. And I've helped many, many, many more people who've wanted to be helped than I could ever dream of in such a short period of time. I've been doing this for about 2 years, but I was doing both, and that got to be much. And so I let the clinic, the physical clinic, I let it expire. It's not necessary. I can see more patients now, and I can teach you to talk to your doctors. It's like behind the scenes. How can I get my doctor to listen to me? To do the things that a team member should be doing together. Not, I just tell you how it's going to be and this is the way it's going to be. For a doctor to deny you and what you request is in labs, that is not a doctor. That's a dictator. Okay? So I'm sorry if that offends anybody out there, but I'm not sorry. Opie's fungus. What is your take on fungus? Well, ask me a little bit. That's an open-ended question, and I don't like those because I'm not going to just keep talking. Fungus in regards to what? Millie is listening from New Jersey, and Chandra is listening from Bangladesh. Thank you, guys. Millie says, I'm going to look you up. I appreciate that. Bangladesh, that is a long way off. I'm guessing it's in the evening there. Naturopathic is the way to go. If that is available in West Des Moines, Mark, I don't know. I don't know very many docs who even if they're naturopath, even know what metabolic syndrome is and how to look for it. I mean, just because you're a naturopath, yeah, they might not be gung-ho on giving you pharmaceuticals that are prescription from the drug companies. They're going to give you supplements. And why didn't they talk to you about your diet? Why are you taking supplements? Supplements are for a crappy diet. I only give supplements if they have a crappy diet, which is a standard American diet. So that means the naturopath doesn't know anything about diet either, or exercise, or insulin resistance, or metabolic syndrome, or cancer, or diabetes, coronary artery disease, damage to the arteries. They don't know any of that stuff. All they know is supplements. Here's your supplement. I come across a rare naturopathic who understands what I'm talking about. We can have a civil conversation, but they still lean to supplements. You'll be on 50 million supplements because they check all your levels. Ooh, your selenium level's low. Here's your selenium. Your copper level's low. Your zinc level's low. And then you're on, by the time you walk out of there, you're on 50 different supplements, which are all messing with a normal physiologic or biologic process going on in your body. Why do you want to mess with that? God made all of that perfect, but you want to mess with it by taking a supplement. Why not fix your diet? Why not get outside? Why not stand barefoot on the ground? Why not get rid of your smokes and your alcohol, your red wine that you've become so accustomed to? These are the things, but yet you'd rather take a supplement to help block your red wine or block your blah, 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 whatever it is, whatever your lust is of the day. You're just going to continue with that. I'm going to continue putting some gasoline on the fire and have somebody hold the hose because I really like to watch the fire. So somebody's got the hose and you just keep feeding some timber to it. Ooh, that's what we're doing. We just continue. Ashanti says, wow, thank you for being you. And I'm subscribing. Well, I appreciate that. Nitro, I do not know anything about that question. Sorry. The newer way says, I stopped going to my doctor because of this dictator attitude of most doctors. Yeah. And you know, I'm not trying to defend them in any way, but I need you to understand something. And I don't want you to even give grace or give mercy or do all these things. I'm not even going to go there, but I want you to understand their thinking. And it's not really any different than anybody else's thinking. And it has to do with money. That's one thing. If I know that if you have an LDL above 130 and the insurance company is going to reimburse me for treating your LDL of 130, and I know that I'm going to get a bonus for all of the people who I treat for an LDL of 130, over time, I've come to rely on that income. And then if the insurance company is indoctrinating me, continuously indoctrinating me that LDL, it's almost, they wave the rabbit's foot in front of you. LDL is the cause of coronary artery disease. LDL. Doctors are hypnotized. They're hypnotized and bamboozled by buffoonery, by false information to get, I don't know what they want. They make money. I don't know. Do they want us all deceased? I don't know. You could go down rabbit holes with that. But if the doctor is so bamboozled, they can't get out of their paper sack. I was one of them. Believe it or not. I was that doctor that says, man, I'm really worried about you. Your LDL is 150. You know, we really need to get that down. You're at risk of heart disease. I didn't know anything about particle size, a little bit. I didn't know what caused the different sizes. I wouldn't have known that if you eat a high carb diet, you're going to have more small dense LDLs. If you lower your carbs, which are not essential, which I didn't realize, there's the lower limits of carbohydrate intake is zero. You can live without them. You do not need them. And they do cause elevation of small dense LDLs. And if small dense LDLs are the ones that we need to be worrying about, why are we just giving a statin? Why don't we tell people to stop eating carbohydrates? Would that be too easy? Would that not sell enough pharmaceuticals? Would the insurance companies not be able to make as much money from the kickbacks from the pharmaceuticals? They're all in bed together. And add the hospital in there too. They're all one big happy kumbaya sitting around a fire pit. And you wonder why I slowly got out of this corporate medicine? Because ethically, I couldn't, my ideals and their ideals, they didn't align. Not even remotely. There were doctors I worked for that a person would come in I would diagnose them with a cold. And I said, it's viral. It'll run its course. You'll be fine. The patient will call back, ask for the manager or the owner, and it's usually a doctor. And do you know what that doctor will do? They'll call in an antibiotic because the patient requested it. And they didn't want that patient to go spread unhappy things in the community. Well, that doctor that works for that place, she says I had a virus. Well, I knew I needed an antibiotic, so I called back, and the doctor that I really wanted to see, they gave me an antibiotic. Do you see the corruption? That doctor didn't care about that person having a virus, and then you're going to build up resistant bacteria by giving that person an antibiotic. No, they were thinking about money. Well, they're going to spread one negative comment circles to 100, whereas one positive is only hitting 10 people. Are you kidding me? That's what you're worried about? Your business model or the health of the patient? It's called education. The patient would have gotten better either way, whether they're on the antibiotic or off the antibiotic. They had a virus. If there really is a virus. But this is the corruption. And you guys have probably been a part of it. You've been brainwashed thinking you got a runny nose or a little something, and you, oh my gosh, I'm traveling and or I'm going to a fancy wedding and I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get sick. Can you give me an antibiotic? Are you kidding me? But the doctor who did, they're going to get 50 people coming back to their business because the patient gets what they want. I don't know. Do you want to be healthy, or do you just want to be bamboozled with all this stuff? I mean, I don't know. My mom takes omeprazole for acid reflux. Why do we have acid reflux? So the doctor diagnoses with acid reflux and simply gives this person's mother some omeprazole. What does omeprazole do? Omeprazole is a proton pump inhibitor. It blocks production of hydrochloric acid. So you are going to lower your acidity of your stomach contents. You're going to make a God-given acidity of about 1, 2, 3, somewhere in there. You're going to rely on the doctor to be better than God. So you're going to give that person a proton pump inhibitor, which has been shown to cause gastric cancer over time, has been shown to lead to dementia or cognitive decline, that causes malabsorption. Because it changes the pH, you don't get absorption of your amino acids, your B vitamins, your selenium, your zinc, your magnesium, your calcium, just by changing the pH of your stomach content. So when it splashes up into the esophagus from the stomach, you won't get symptoms. Here's your little Band-Aid. Never mind that you could get dementia or cancer. Never mind that. Never mind that eye doctor are trying to play God. What about teaching that patient why they have reflux? Why isn't the little sphincter door that is supposed to close after you swallow down the esophagus and it dumps into the stomach? Why did the little door remain open so stomach contents can go back up the wrong way? Did you go into, are they eating peppermint or spearmint? Did you ask them if they're eating chocolate or drinking coffee with caffeine and methylxanthines in them? Did you ask them about going to sleep right after eating, laying down? Did you ask them about alcohol? Did you ask them about a very, very large belly, likely due to what? Fatty liver, pushing up on the stomach, forcing pressure and breaking the valve or backwashing? You didn't go over any of that. But what you did do is you gave them a medicine to propagate or cultivate them continues to have reflux, just at a different pH. Meanwhile, they're getting malnourished. So you've just caused malnourishment. And so they don't have calcium getting absorbed very well. Then what is that doing to their bones? What about their vitamin D that they can't absorb? So you need vitamin D and calcium, right? And then you're not getting amino acids because your bones are made of protein. So now you're causing osteoporosis just by fixing their pH. So when they do reflux up, you can't feel it. Does the doctor think about that? Did they go through all of those scenarios in their brain? Did they give your mom informed consent? Likely not. See, if the doctor would have told your mother to quit drinking 6 cups of caffeine a day, she might have listened to the doctor. She's not going to listen to her son or daughter or husband or wife. No, family members don't listen to family members, but they listen to their doctor for some reason. Even when the doctor doesn't know what's going on, they'll say, oh my gosh, the doctor's been there for me for 27 years. They delivered all 3 of my kids. And oh my gosh, they're just so darling. I see them out every once in a while and they're just beautiful people. They're just so nice. Nice and low IQ? Nice and caused your gastric cancer? Nice and caused your dementia? Maybe not caused it, helped spur it along with your coffee and your smoking and not getting out in the sun and eating seed oils and sugar and fake foods. I mean, you guys, this is real. I know I'm kind of being a slap in your face today on this Sunday, this beautiful Sunday, but people aren't thinking. They're not using their brain anymore. They put so much reliance in medical professionals. It's unbelievable. I won't even risk going to them. I mean, I'd have to have my finger cut off to go to a doctor because I can barely stand the lack of intelligence that they display when I talk to them. Now, if you go to an ortho or a surgeon, they're just doing carpentry. That's all they're doing. They don't have to talk to the patient. They don't have to establish a relationship. I'm talking about your internist, your cardiologist, your pulmonologist, your urologist, your gynecologist, your PCP, all of them. How did they all miss your insulin resistance for 10 years? Did they not look at your triglycerides? Did they look at your HDL? Did they look at your large belly? Did they look at your blood pressure? None of it. They didn't look at any of it. And then they told you to eat fruits and vegetables? Looking at your belly, they continue to tell you to eat fructose? I mean, right there should have been a red flag. Like they got this big belly that's like 40 inches. They can't see their toes. Their legs are really skinny. They got skin tags all over their neck. They can't breathe and got sleep apnea. And they're asking for Ozempic and you're giving it to them. Do you think that Ozempic is going to magically change what they're eating? Or are they just going to eat less of it? In the meantime, you're giving them this fake medicine made from a Gila monster. Oh, but it's not the real Gila monster. We made it synthetic. It's a look-alike. Okay, that's even better, right? A fake. A fake venom. We're just going to put some venom in you from this Gila monster, but we're going to fake it. It's not going to be as venomous. It's not going to be as dangerous. We're going to cause just a tiny bit less cancer. We're going to cause just a tiny bit less fat cell hyperplasia. That means more fat cells. But we didn't know that. We're not going to tell you that because we didn't really know. We didn't know that giving you a GLP actually caused you to produce more fat cells. So if you ever go off the GLP and you have more fat cells and then you have no inhibition of eating any longer, you're going to eat and you're going to choose the foods that you choose before. And you're going to be even more obese than you were prior to them giving you the shot. And then you know what you're going to do? You're going to get all depressed. You didn't even think to ask your doctor because, well, they should know. What, don't they know? I mean, they wouldn't really want to hurt me, would they? Of course not. We went to school to help you, not hurt you. But hurting you looks like I got low IQ. I only learned what they told me to learn. Is that the kind of mechanic you want? Is that the kind of financial advisor? They work for a big corporation, and so the financial advisor is going to sell you their bond ladder and their annuities, not in your best interest, in their best interest. Think about it. Doctors these days are no different than your financial advisor who's, that, and your grocery store. You know, I was at a store yesterday, and I went in to purchase something, and then I got upsold, tried to get upsold. And you know what was great about it? Is as they were educating me about their products, they did say, and I appreciate this, because I know what it looks like now. I wouldn't be telling you this if I'm not a salesman. I'm a salesman. And I said, I appreciate you telling me that. I realized that about 15 minutes ago. Now, that didn't change the information you were giving me. But if I only learned one thing, I'm only going to give you that. I'm going to keep you hyper-focused on, say, LDL and A1c and whatever whatever it is that the doctor is pushing at the moment, okay? It is, no, Vaughn, they didn't. Vaughn says they took a Hippocratic oath and they broke it. And I get what you're saying is because it is say, first do no harm. But in their head or in their heart, they weren't doing harm to you. And they couldn't connect the dots like I couldn't connect the dots. Let me give you an example. If I've been brainwashed and I'm hyper-focused on LDL and a statin, and over a 25-year time period, I start noticing I got more and more diabetics. I got more and more people complaining about memory problems. My thoughts did not connect the dot to the statin. They're all on statins, they all have diabetes, and they're all having problems focusing. Or their memory is bad, or they're tired all the time. Now, what I thought about, instead of connecting the dots back to statins, I said, well, their diet's not very good. Well, they said they're not sleeping very good. Well, they're depressed. If I would have took all of those symptoms and put it into the pot, I might have connected the dots. But I didn't. It took me 24 years to start connecting the dots because you're being brainwashed the whole time. And so I thought I was following the Hippocratic Oath because what I said was their LDL is 150. Guidelines say that they need to be under 100, put them on a statin. If they're diabetic, put them on a statin because you're protecting them from getting coronary artery disease, an MI, or a stroke. You're actually protecting them. So if I planted all of that information into your head, Vaughn, you actually are following through with the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm, because if I was harming you, I would withhold the statin. And I can't do that. That would be causing your death, or so I thought. So you can see, hopefully I'm painting a picture that it is not just cut and dry that all the doctors should know this. I didn't know it. We didn't know. And you don't believe it. Do you know how long it took me? It probably took me a whole year of my patients trying to slap me in the face and knock me in the head to get this. Sent me books, sent me articles, do this, Dr. Jensen, please, for for further life, please look into this. It wasn't really until I read this book by Malcolm Kendrick. It is called The Clot Thickens. And I tell you what, I was flabbergasted at what I did not know. I got so overwhelmed with the amount of information I did not know that I thought I probably should give up medicine. And patients encouraged me, and listeners encouraged me, and I kept going, you guys. And like I've told you in the past, just so you get to know me, I don't like to be wrong. And I have been wrong a lot. But with that being said, I'm not afraid to tell you I was wrong, and I was wrong. I believe wholeheartedly I was wrong about the practice of medicine. I was practicing it, but yet not educating myself outside of the box of big insurance and big pharma and big food. They had me. They got us. They locked us in. It's a horrible feeling to find out that you've been manipulated your whole life. Ask yourself, right? Midwest Ribeye says, I know some people who do exactly what you just said. What did I just say? Vaughn, you are absolutely right. Vaughn says the body always tries to get back to homeostasis because that's the way God made us. It has checks and balances. It has a balance between anabolism and catabolism. But when we try to manipulate our body, so manipulate what God did to it, either putting in things that mess us up or not doing certain things like getting out in the sun, but they told us that caused cancer, or put cancer-causing sunscreens on you. The sun did not cause your cancer. If it did, all melanomas would be on our face and probably our hands, because those are the most exposed places. How about our head? How many people get melanomas on their head and face? Very rarely, but they'll get it between their toes. They'll get it on their butt. We need to start thinking. If the sun is so bad, why did God give us the sun? But what if the sun happens to mix with your glycation and your oxidation and your chemicals that you're putting in your body? Maybe that's how the sun. So you're going to continue consuming all these things, put a little sunscreen on and hope for the best, stay out of the sun as you continuously feed yourself poison? With or without the sun, the poison's going to hurt you. Okay? Midwest Ribeye says, I would have to feel horrible to take an antibiotic. Right, and you'd have to really know that you really need it, which you don't. What are your thoughts on daily high blood pressure pills like a beta blocker, 100 milligrams? I'm guessing it's like metoprolol. Well, why is your blood pressure high, Millie? Why is your blood pressure high? Is your insulin level high? Are you eating a high carbohydrate diet? Is your cortisol and stress levels high? What is causing your high blood pressure? Why? And then ask yourself, do I really need the OLAW, the beta blocker? Does the beta blocker increase my depression? Yes. Does it worsen my asthma? Yep. Does it increase my ability to get diabetes? Quite possibly. Nigella seeds and manuka honey, what about them? See, this is the typical response. Padrag says high blood pressure can be brought down with many foods and herbs. My mom in her 70s brought down her blood pressure with foods. Some medicines also cause high blood pressure. Absolutely. But Padrag, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Why are you adding any type of food or herb to bring the blood pressure down without first asking yourself what caused the high blood pressure? I'm trying to get you guys to think. Get back to what is causing the inflammation and the buildup of pressure. Are we high in seed oils? Are we high in sugar? Do we have iron overload? Are we exposed to 5G and LED lights and all of the things? And all you're going to think about is you're going to call it, but it's natural. How natural is some of the foods that you're putting in your mother's body? I'm just asking. The only thing that makes sense to me is that doctors are trying to kill us. Well, I wouldn't say that they're trying to kill you, because I just don't think that doctors are nefarious and they are actually trying to kill you. But could they be unknowingly killing you? It's quite possible. In fact, I remember somebody telling me that I was the third leading cause of death. And I said, well, that's quite possible. After what I know now, it's quite possible. Mark says, I don't drink milk. I only eat Greek yogurt. Now what do I do? For what? I lost track. You guys, I can't pick up on your comments and remember what everything was. Nothing to do says, what causes skin tags? Insulin resistance. Let me see here. Okay, you guys, this comment, I'm gonna try to read this with a straight face. Susan says, my current endocrinologist said my A1c, which is 6.2, and going down, is too low. You heard me. Too low. And that she would like it at 7.8 because she's 70. This endocrinologist's IQ is very low. There is nothing in what Susan just told me that is remotely revealing a high IQ. And that's a doctor who the only thing they study is endocrine. Janet says, my definition of a carnivore diet in this case is ruminant meat, ghee, salt, and water. What's your cortisol level? How much are you sleeping? And I would look into your inability to break down triglycerides. I don't know what your triglyceride. There it is. Thank you. Yes, Dr. Christie. Lipoprotein lipase. LPL, not LPS. Thank you. See, I don't know it all. Thank you, Dr. Christie. I appreciate all of you guys' help. Lipoprotein lipase. If you don't have lipoprotein lipase, you cannot break down your triglycerides. And they will be elevated. It's so rare. I've never seen it. That's why I couldn't remember the name. Haha. Hey, Dawn. Hey, you know what? That is actually true, Trot. My kidney doctor says save your money for your kids' college instead of supplements. And if you don't have kids and they're not going to college, buy a ribeye steak. Lara says, hilarious. So much money is being spent on supplements. I agree. Lucy, this is true as well. The doctors, they get you hooked. All these doctors that are doing their thing, they have their own brand and they want you to take their stuff. I agree. They're selling books. Okay, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I'm not famous. I am from Iowa. It's in the middle of the United States, in case you don't know where it's at. I'm like under Minnesota, okay? I'm just to the east of Nebraska, there. I didn't write any books. I don't know anything about selling you supplements. I might sell you a center stage primary care t-shirt or sweatshirt at my cost, just because I want you to wear it and spread the word. I wonder if I just made a t-shirt and it said, at IronLadyDoc, and somebody will just start looking it up and saying, hey, I think I like that girl, or I can't stand that girl. But yeah, I can't sell you guys anything because I believe I would think more about what I'm selling you and making money than the true right or wrong. Am I giving you truth? Am I giving the information for you to make good decisions? Kyle shares a really, really sad story with me right now, with all of you guys, because this is in public. Yeah, my ex-wife's brainwashing in medical school and residency ended up leading to the end of our marriage. She could not accept that huge amounts of information she learned was totally wrong. That is one of the saddest things I've ever heard. That's how indoctrinated they give us. It's a cult, Kyle. It's like a little cult. It's like a religiosity. It's kind of like vaccinology is the up and coming religion. The religion of pharma. You learn the thing, you make the diagnosis, doctor, they pat you on the back, and then they teach you exactly how to treat the ailment, and then they pat you on the back. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And I was in it. I believed it. I'm sorry, Kyle, for your loss. Oh, Midwest ribeye. Yeah, what I said about calling a different doctor to get it. Yeah. Yep, people do it, and the doctors do it. The owners of the machines. Dr. Namasta, your opinion on cottage cheese as a primary protein source for a vegetarian. Go for it. If that is the only protein source, cottage cheese, eggs, it's good. I would get full fat cottage cheese. I feed my mom cottage cheese. Do I eat cottage cheese? No. But yeah, if that's the only protein as your primary source, I say go for it, Cargo. You need protein. I'm glad it's from an animal and not a plant, because that's not really protein. Chickpeas are plants. What are you supposed to do if you have staph? What do you mean? Mestrick says, love you, Doc. I am sorry. Well, don't be sorry. Just congratulate me for waking up. Chris says, magnesium is great for high blood pressure. It is. And electrolytes and berberine for sugar balance. They are. But why do you have high blood pressure and high sugars? Are you eating? You can only get high sugars from having eaten sugars or having extremely high cortisol levels. How else do you get high blood sugar? Why not stop the blood sugar from coming in? Why not get your blood sugar down so your insulin comes down, so your blood pressure comes down, so you don't need magnesium? Your body has perfectly what it needs. Why, Chris? I'm asking you, why? Do you just want to supplement fake crap to Band-Aid over your blood pressure and your high blood sugars? I don't get it. I don't get it. Why are my doctors pushing Singular on me so much lately for asthma and allergies? I was born with asthma. No, you weren't. But only started hearing about Singular recently. Oh my gosh, Singular's been on the market for like 25 years. I don't know why your doctors are pushing this. Let me see. I am live on YouTube and Instagram, so. Oh, Lucy, what do you think of colonoscopies, mammograms, pap smears? Are they necessary? I think that you have to make a decision individualized for you. What I would do is, it's really irrelevant. You have to ask yourself that whenever you go in for one of these diagnostic tests, a diagnosis will be made and a treatment will be given. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared to get a diagnostic test, which will give you a diagnosis, which will make you a patient, which will require treatment? And then if you can answer that, then you think about all of the things. Why do you need mammograms? I'm going to look for cancers. Well, why would I have a breast cancer? And is it possible that the trauma from a mammogram could increase your risk of getting breast cancer? Are there repercussions from having colonoscopies? What would cause a colon cancer in the first place? What would be the residue? Is it something you're consuming? Would you simply maybe fast? I mean, is the colonoscopy going to go in? They're going to do, a snare biopsy, get rid of your polyp and say, woof, I'll see you in 5 years. What caused the things to occur? Are you willing to make a change? Because you can go in and do the thing. And if you continue to consume the food, smoke, drink, don't get outside, don't sleep well, whatever, smell the air because there's heavy metals and all of that, take supplements and get iron overload even worse than you already got, eat fructose and cause fatty liver. If you want to do all of those things, then you're increasing your risk of getting cancers. Those are cancer diagnostic tests. Is the people even exercising? No exercise, no dietary changes, no nothing. Lucy says there's so many studies on PPIs, I would never take them. And Lara agrees. Lara says mammograms are now forbidden in Sweden, 60% false positives and unnecessary follow-up procedures. I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing that. I'll have to look into that. Mammograms are a money grab. Check yourself. Eat well. Get lots of sunlight. Fast regularly. You will heal. Check your iodine levels. Right, Lara? Lucy says, I bought so many supplements but never used them. Bad habit of wasting money. I buy meat now. Yeah. Save your money and buy ribeyes. Followed Lucy. Oh no, Lara says, followed Dr. Courtney Hunt for years. She taught me about sunlight and fasting, but still pushed her supplements. So many thousands spent on them. That's sad. Lucy says, this live is on fire today. Love it. Thank you. You're welcome. You even did her gene pool, huh, Learn and Lifer? Oh boy. As if you were going to make a change. She probably had a supplement for your genes. Michelle, yes, we can cause hyperplasia with certain things like GLPs. Usually as we age, our numbers of fat cells diminish. And that's why, since there's less amount of fat cells, let's just talk women here. You're wondering why you're getting fatter. So you're getting fatter legs, fatter butt, fatter gut, fatter breasts, fatter everything, is because as you age, your fat cells are going down. So they were dispersed all over your body and you had, symmetry of fat. But now that the fat cells are going down, then there's only in certain areas where they can get bigger, bigger, bigger. So they're growing. You may not have any more fat than you had before. It's just redistributed. Does that make sense? Lucy says, I need to find a Dr. J version of a financial advisor. That would be amazing. I could give you mine. He's not quite like me, but he's the closest thing that I can find. At least he listens and his You can talk to him. Lucy, I would definitely give you his number if that would be something you would want to take into consideration. So Trot says, just went off 5 shots of insulin a day, got out of the 200s blood sugar. My blood sugar is now in the 100s, still too high. My endo said the only way insurance would cover a CGM was to go on insulin. So they're telling you the truth. So here's what you do. They write your insulin, you go pick it up, you're on insulin for all of their purposes. And you're keeping it well under control with their insulin in your 100s when you are really just shooting the insulin into the air or not using it at all. You're using your diet and you stay on your CGM. If they want to play games back. How much do you spend on your insurance? Like $1,000 a month? Lucy says, get Stilo. Why? Why pay your money out of your pocket when you're paying your insurance company for a family of whatever and paying $1,100? If you're only eating carnivore, you don't need a CGM anyway. Just eat meat, eggs, butter. Yes, Ruth, the clot thickens. Read the book. It's very good. It's very complicated, but it's very good. Yeah, Lara, the body is made perfect and we do get in the way. I'm just going through you guys' questions here. Lara says she did not do Courtney Hunt's gene therapy nor her gene labs. It was $1,800. She did teach me a lot, but she is agnostic and keeps pushing Christ is non-existent and the church has brainwashed us. Sounds like a person that I really need to follow. Not. Lucy says, no A1C 6.0 is low. Wow. Get a new doctor, Susan. Susan, Lucy is telling you to get a new doctor. That's up to you. It's just friendly advice. Yeah, Lara thinks that A1C in a normal range should be 5.4. The Norway says, have you ever heard of the parable of the fisherman and the businessman? You are my fisherman. George, hello from Scotland. Hello, George. Thank you for joining today. I appreciate you guys being here. Please like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. If you think you've already subscribed, please check when we get done that you are actually subscribed. Here, Lucy is agreeing with me. Trot, get your insulin from the doctor, but don't take it. Then get your CGMs. No one needs to know. What type, if for my own curiosity, oh, Rose says, hi, I've been on statins for cholesterol. Oh boy. Rose, why is your cholesterol a problem? Who told you your cholesterol is a problem and why? Trot, if you want to continue just poking your fingers and checking your blood sugars, do it. Sooner says mammograms are pushed in Sweden, and there was a false rumor they were being banned in Switzerland. Mammograms are highly problematic, and I regret having them. Never again. So, Lucy, does that answer your question from Sooner? Dr. Christie says, yeah, they are still pushing mammograms in Sweden. Is insurance required for what, Ruth? Thank you, Lucy. I appreciate your confidence. Dawn says, if the body is perfect and doesn't need supplements, I don't know if I said it exactly like that, Dawn. Let's break that down. I said the body is perfect. It's made in God's image. It may not have the nutrients it needs because of our poor quality diet. But if we eat a quality diet, we should not need supplements. Supplement, by the very definition, supplements a crappy diet. So now that we've gotten that part straightened out, what is your take on HRT? Is a small amount of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone a bad thing? Dawn, is it a bad thing for you? Maybe not. Maybe so. HRT is synthetic. It is made from a plant. Dawn, are you a plant or are you a mammal, an animal? I would suggest that you have animal hormones in you, not plant hormones that we cannot use. We cannot break them down. We are not plants. We are supplementing something for a poor quality diet. If you are menopausal, you are taking HRT because you think that your ovaries don't work anymore, so you need to take HRT. Well, the very fact of the ovaries doesn't make all of your estrogen anyway. Now your fat takes over making estrogen, making hormones. Your adrenal glands make hormones. Your muscles actually make a little bit of hormones. But you went straight to HRT because you were told that your levels were low, and then they didn't give you an animal-based HRT because there are none. I don't think that we're going to put horse urine in us any longer. You will put a plant hormone, a phytosterol, in you, as if you're a plant. You are not. Instead of maybe encouraging your other areas that make hormones that I mentioned, especially the adrenal gland. How do you stimulate the adrenal gland? You have to actually eat animals and the fat and cholesterol in order to make our hormones. If you consume fat and cholesterol, you'll make pregnenolone. And pregnenolone will make progesterone. And pregnenolone will tell the adrenal glands to make DHEA. And DHEA will convert to androstenedione. And androstenedione will convert to testosterone. And testosterone will make your estrogens. Simply by eating fat and cholesterol from an animal. Your body is perfectly made. Do you think that your hormones are just going to shut off the minute you turn 50 years old? No. God did not make us dumb. He just said that menopause means a pause or a break or a stoppage of your period. That's it. That's what menopause means. We have other areas in our body that make hormones. You're just not taking advantage of them. You would rather feed yourself full, and now that of plant sterols that feed back and tell you the rest of your body not to make their own. So, is it a supplement? No, it's a pharmaceutical. Back in the 30s, maybe? I can't remember. I don't know how, Vlad, but thank you. If you can help me. Oh, Jamie, I am live on Instagram and YouTube. So if I'm saying names, it might be from Instagram, Lucy on Instagram. I am from Des Moines, Iowa, in case you're wondering that there was a question, where am I from? Dawn says, I guess I'll fire up the grill and have some steak tonight. That's a great choice. Just don't cook it too much, okay? Don't make it too done. Where did I go to medical school? I also went to medical school in Des Moines, Iowa. I went to an osteopathic school. I went to an osteopathic medical school and I took MD boards. I took an MD residency and I took MD boards. So I went to DO medical school. I took an MD residency and I took MD boards. I knew that I was not going to practice in the 7 states that are DO friendly states. You have to take DO boards and a DO residency to practice in 7 states in the United States. I knew I wasn't going to practice in those states. I wanted to stay in Iowa. In fact, I wanted to stay in Des Moines. And that was my choice. Oh, okay. I can look into that, Vlad. I did not know. So some of my regular followers that go to YouTube, Vlad says you can press on the username and make them a moderator. I think he or she, then the moderator can clean up the chat. I did not know that. Oh, Jamie says an osteopath is not medical training. Oh, okay. Okay. Thanks for joining, Jamie. I appreciate your time. Oh, boy. Oh, yeah, Lara. Add an egg to the steak. So good. Okay. All right. Okay, you guys. We'll call it good today. We do this every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central, every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central. During the week, I do reels. I try to share as much information as I possibly can. And I'm always studying. I'm always studying to make content for you. I'm always studying. And in between studying, I do consultations with you guys, with listeners and followers. That is my job, is to do consultations. Many of you who are listening right now have had a consult with me. And I appreciate that. I thank you for that, for your support. And I hope that you have learned a great deal in the 1 hour that we have spent. Vlad says, I also want to be a doctor in the future. I'm in the middle of school right now. I wish you Godspeed and very, very good luck if that's what you like to say. But yeah, that's quite an accomplishment. Lara says, an osteopath, not a medical training. Are you insane? Well, I guess that person is. Trot, you're very welcome. So if you guys would like to schedule a consult, just email me at IronLadyDoc@AOL.com, IronLadyDoc@AOL.com. You can message me through Instagram or Facebook. I don't really read any messages on YouTube. Thanks for your time and your devotion to the truth and pursuit of health. You're very welcome, Dawn. Thanks for being here. It's been so much time that I've seen or heard from you that I wouldn't even know. I probably wouldn't even recognize you. I don't know. Maybe I would. Things change from junior high and high school, but I'm so glad that I've been able to reconnect with my hometown people. It's truly been amazing. And I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not done this social media thing. And I was really against it. And I had another healthcare provider talk me into it because they said I would be good at it because I love to teach. So Larry says, tell that to my nephew who went through schooling for 8 years, did his residency and took his medical board exams. I know, Larry, it's just, don't take it personally. I'm not going to take it personally. They're just uneducated. Medical school, whether you're a DO or an MD, has the same curriculum on both sides. The curriculum is underwritten by the pharmaceutical companies. So we get the exact same training. We have a little bit of extra training in osteopathic manipulative medicine. Once I got out of school, I did not practice that. Again, I went to an MD residency in family practice, and then I took MD boards. I still take MD boards. I will not take osteopathic boards because I do not practice manipulation. maybe on my friends or family, but that is it. I do not do that on a regular basis. I'm very happy with my schooling and training, even though I was indoctrinated. Okay, you guys. So IronLadyDoc at AOL.com. You guys have a beautiful Sunday, and we'll see you next Saturday.